All right, more on the Denmark drones. Now, not everybody thinks that they're drones. Ross Coulthart says as much. Doesn't believe that they are drones. Thinks that there's something more to it. So let's hear what Ross has to say about this, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Check this out.
These objects, they're not being seen on radar. How can that be the case when these objects are so large? Admittedly, some drones are made of carbon fibre or fiberglass, which makes them less easy to find. And admittedly, Denmark particularly doesn't have a lot of counter-UAS technology. But you would expect that something that large could be followed by a helicopter or radar. It could be followed back to source in normal instances. What's fascinating to me is what it says that the operators of these craft, whatever they are, I refuse to call them drones, they felt that they could do this with total impunity over at least 2 nights, over some of the most sensitive military and civilian aviation installations in your country. It's just extraordinary. And what it is something or someone is demonstrating an ability to operate with total impunity, the absolute assurance of knowledge that they cannot be tracked, they cannot be detected, that they're operating craft of some kind which are far beyond the capabilities of existing known technology to track, which is really quite extraordinary. I find it amazing, and this has happened with regular frequency right across the United States. Despite the assertions being made by the White House and by different parts of the Pentagon and by the Federal Aviation Administration in America, these drone sightings are still happening, so-called drones. I don't believe they are drones. Increasingly, I think the evidence suggests that they are certainly some kind of craft. But why would any foreign state actor, even a foreign adversary actor, want to put highly sensitive, clearly highly advanced technology over civilian airspace in Denmark, for heaven's sake? To what end? For what purpose? That's what fascinates me.
Okay, so that's one start of it, and I think he makes some pretty good points, too. It's that whatever is flying around their nose, it just can't be caught, doesn't really care to be seen, or whatever it might be. And why are they flying over Denmark, of all places? So that was part of that conversation. Is again, he's refusing to call them drones. Now we are getting into that area again. It is now late September, although the majority of those drone sightings, Langley and last year in Jersey and those places were around the November-December area. So we're getting into the end of the year again where these things start showing up again. That's usually what has happened, at least over the last couple of years. But, you know, this has been going on for the last couple of days, people talking about this. And now here's another post. And first of all, thank you to UAPGians for posting that one. But then Red Panda Koala also posts this because there are some naysayers. The obvious, you know, obviously Green Street and Mick West are coming out and saying they're fake. That's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. It doesn't matter. An alien comes and sits next to them and has a conversation. Like, that wasn't real. It was a guy in a costume. Or that's just what they do. You know, you can't get mad at them anymore. You can get mad at Jeremy Corbell and anybody else what they believe in. You know, but to me, it's always like the balloon. So you got to come up with something a little more creative. But this is the funny one that Red Panda Koala wrote that I thought was actually pretty humorous. I mean, he just has no actual drones were detected, and pray for Mick West, because you see it on the side there. What people misunderstand about the Denmark drone flap is that they're not shutting down airports because people in the control tower saw drones. They're shutting them down because other people on the ground reported seeing drones. No actual drones were detected. Okay, well then, what's that? So that's what was shown. This is what. There's a bunch of people that were detected and saw things. So there are people just reporting it. Like, I don't know what he's talking about. So what, like, whatever that is, like whatever that is. The last one to me was the most. So clearly, tons of people saw stuff, and tons of them were detected. So I guess he just saw a bunch of balloons again, whatever. So there's that. It's so hard for me to take these people serious. Like, he's going to have a balloon thing soon. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day. PrizePicks, being right, can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. It's football season, man, right around the corner. And so here's an example of what you can do. So if you want to take some of your favorite players and you say, hey, Barkley, is it going to be more or less than 1 rushing touchdown? Joe Burrow, more or less than 2.5 passing touchdown. How about Josh Allen? You're going to get more or less 270 passing yards. What do you think? Use your skills. You know that you're doing it, and you know you're talking about it with your buddies. Well, now let's get some cash on this thing. So PrizePicks, it's simple to play. You pick more or less 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. PrizePicks puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, they're safe, secure. PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Use PrizePicks. It's the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. I've been using them for quite a bit, and I am beyond satisfied. You got to download that app today and use DTE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code DTE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Anyway, point is, something was detected. Now, whether or not you think it was a drone or UAP or whatever you might, that's another conversation. But clearly something was detected. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. What it is, again, I don't know. It seems similar, though, to the stuff that we've been seeing over the course of the last year. The lights, the shifting lights, the triangle type thing, the movement of it. It's just weird that it always happens towards the end of the year. It's always like around this time of the year. Now, why do they choose whoever it might be? Let's say it's another government who's deciding that this is the time that we got to start testing these things. Is it weather related? Like, what is it? And why in Denmark? Of all places, as Ross Coulthart said, like, why in Denmark? That's what I'm really, really curious about. You know what would be hilarious, though, too, though, as I'm thinking about this, because I've mentioned many times over, like, I have my thought of what I believe it is under no actual, to do all the research and say, this is what I've concluded. I just think in my head, to me, interdimensional travel of technology and things of that nature is, to me, what I believe in my heart of hearts. Whether or not that will be proven or not, or whether we can debate on it, and it's, of course. But that's what I believe. And everybody, I think, is allowed to have their own thoughts about it in the same way that Mick West and all of them have their thoughts about it. I wonder, though, it does make, as much as they joke about it, let's say in a hypothetical situation that Avi Loeb is like, okay, October comes around, AI Atlas comes out, and it's an alien ship, to which I would also be wrong, because I don't believe that. Well, I guess so. I guess with light travel at that point, because my whole thing with the reason why I don't think UAPs are from outer space is because you'd be able to detect them when they were coming in, because it just, time and space works so differently that even if something is going super fast, you could pick it up moving in from space, wherever it's coming from, because it's how it works. You can say, wow, a normal ship, it would take 20 years or 50 years from where they are to get here, but they're going to be here in 3. It's, you know what I mean? It's still like, okay, we can detect when they're coming. So that's why I think interdimensional travel, to me, makes a lot of sense. But let's say, it comes in, and it is indeed an alien ship that we've detected, and we've been detecting, and as it's getting closer and closer, and it lands, and it's an alien ship, does Mick West still look at it and go, that's not a ship, that's a balloon? If a bunch of people get out and a bunch of beings start getting out and having conversations, he's like, nah, it's people in a costume. Does he still do it, or does he just say, okay, I guess at this point, you guys win? Would he ever concede? Even on his, like, even if they were if the alien race was gonna take us out, but he's like, that's not real. Would he still do it, do you think? I wonder. And look, this same could go for the other side of it too. I wonder if it was absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, proven that all of this was other governments, like, you could say no way was all, like, we can prove every single thing, what all these things were indeed balloons and whatever it was, would the other side of it say, you know what? I mean, that's clear-cut evidence there. Maybe we were wrong about this. Maybe it was just balloons. I think the answer is no. I think the way we are today as a society, we can't agree. But this is hilarious. There's no actual drones were detected. What are you talking about? You just take the L in this one. Just say, I'm not going to tweet about it. Let everybody else talk about it. But I guess, like I said, this is business. Is it a drone? I don't know. Those shifting lights and the way that those things maneuver, I don't know if it's a drone. I don't. I'm with Ross on that. I can't call it a drone. I don't know what it is. Is it the other side of it, which it very well could be, is like, think about 100 years ago, right? If someone would have brought the internet out and a computer and phones and all that stuff 100 years ago, you think it was all foreign stuff, crazy stuff, no chance that could ever, it's futuristic stuff, no way it could ever happen. Now, that's a long shot from saying things that can morph into different things and dive around and whatever, shift forces or whatever, or maneuver their molecular structure and all that. But who knows? Who knows if we have done? Look at the anti-gravity stuff that has been rumored and talked about and tested, and the potential of being able to manipulate gravity and all that. I don't know. This is why I always say it. I made it very clear to myself, and I made a vow to myself 2 years ago. I'm going to stop saying that's not true. There's no way. You don't know. You don't know. If someone said you could, that this whole thing's a simulation, I say I don't know. So that's a big theory. It's a major theory. And in my head, when I start thinking simulation theory, I'm like, you go, no, can't be. I would know. Why do I feel this? And I go, well, wait a minute. Look at what AI, the way that AI in general has shifted and improved over just the last year and a half, right? And virtual reality and all that stuff too, or just the course of like the last year. What's it going to look like in 100 years? 50 years? And by that, the mind bend of it is what already happened. And this is that. And none of this stuff that we know, the 1920s, the 1700s, well, computer programs, stuff that we were programmed with. Enough to make you go nuts if you really dove into it. You'd be like one of those people, like beautiful minds, scribbling on the walls in the back. So it is what it is what they say. But as far as, we went down a tangent, but as far as the drones and what these things are, I don't think we've heard the end of it. I think that we're going to be back here in, November, December, talking about what are these drones over this area? What are these drones over this area? And, there's too many of them, so the media has to report on it. And then someone will come out and say, no, it was nothing. And then we'll talk about it for about another week. And then we won't talk about it until next year, until it happens. I'm still curious about what's going to happen with AI Atlas. That's supposed to happen at the end of the month. So I think something's coming. I don't know why. I just feel like something's coming. How about you guys? What do you think about all this? What do you think about the drones? What do you think about the fact that it said that no drones were detected? And it was just maybe it's a bunch of balloons. Put your thoughts in there. Let me know what you think. I got to know. All right. Thanks. Have a great weekend, everybody. And we'll see you on the flip side.